All right guys, welcome back to Aussie Arvos. As you remember last time, we got the Patrol painted finally, and it's back in the shed. All the panels are on and it is looking absolutely schmicko. Now the next big thing you're probably all thinking about is now there's still a tray that's got to go on the back of that thing. Now, got a few things working, steel, bits and pieces, so that's a couple of days away from starting that. So in the meantime, there's still a lot of other things we can do. Now, the shed is an absolute mess and I've got bits lying everywhere that need to be put back in, like trim, interior stuff. So we're gonna start by tackling with that, and then we've also got some exciting stuff that still has to go in, such as the suspension, so springs and shocks and sway bars, bump stops, that sort of stuff, and also our new wheels and tyres, which I'm very excited to show you because, you know, we're sort of going all out. So let's get into it.
With the Patrol back from the painters, I began throwing the interior back together, as well as some of the other trim pieces like the door handles, locks and indicators. Being the same cab as before, this stuff all fitted in super easy. I also fitted up my new power steering cooler, which would allow me to eliminate a lot of the hoses used in the factory setup. This is giving me a cleaner engine bay and more space for future engine mods. With all those fiddly bits back together, I drove the car into the shed to install our new suspension.
All right, so we're finally getting onto the exciting stuff. As you can see, I've rolled the Patrol in onto the hoist here and got some pretty cool things happening in front of me. So we are going to be tackling the final suspension for the build, and so I've got shocks, springs, bump stops. We've also got sway bars and sway bar links. I'll talk you through a few of the components as we go putting it in, but for now, let's just get cracking into it. First time the Patrol's in its new form has gone up on the hoist. All right, so we're using the hoist just to make life easier essentially. It's easy to pull springs and stuff in and out if the chassis is supported. Obviously, because we've sort of got the front of the car and no weight on the rear, as I've lifted it up, the rear's just pretty much come up. So as you can see, this spring has already fallen out. So that's one done. That's the best thing about coil springs, so easy to change. All right, so we're just going to pull the old 2-inch springs out now. These were just a temporary set of springs to get the Patrol moved about, and so it wasn't sitting on the bump stop, so these aren't what I'm using in the final build. Now, here are the springs that are going in. So these are 3-inch springs from Fulcrum. This is part of their F4R kit for a GU Patrol. So springs, shocks, the remote res shocks as well, which I'm sure you've probably heard about, but we're gonna get into those in a second. For now, springs. So these are 3-inch spring, 250 to 350 kilo rating. Now, it is very hard to choose a spring rate in a car that you've never driven, you don't know anything about, especially for me, never had coils before. So I've sort of taken a best guess estimate at what spring rate I need. So hopefully these will be pretty versatile and hopefully they should suit me pretty well. For now, we're just gonna try and stick these things in and hopefully it all goes well.
And with the springs now seated in the Patrol, we could move on to installing the new shocks.
All right, so these are the shocks that are going in the Patrol. Now, as part of the kit from Fulcrum, it also includes the Fulcrum F4R remote res shock. These are an adjustable remote reservoir shock, and I know there's a lot of debate about, you know, whether you need remote res or not, but I'm actually really excited to try these out because I think they'll actually be quite useful in what I plan to do with the car. So obviously, I plan on having varying loads on the back, so that's like canopy on, canopy off, and also a lot of different driving conditions. So, you know, out four-wheel driving and then also like highway driving, road driving, and having adjustability of compression and rebound really can let you, you know, can actually change how the car rides a lot. So obviously coming from leaf springs, I'm not really one to have a lot of experience with coil springs, but I think this is going to be a really cool way to be introduced to the whole sort of coil and nice shocks life. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with playing around with these and just seeing how they work. So it also is worth mentioning that the remote reservoir, it is mounted on a bracket here, but you can actually, you know, you can move it around. So I might play around with moving it onto a different point on the chassis just to keep it sort of out of the mud down low. But yeah, let's chuck these things in. I'm really excited to see how they fit up.
What makes this remote res shock different to your more common monotube shock is that they have an external oil reservoir. This external reservoir allows the shock to run cooler and leads to less shock fade on extreme off-road conditions. They also offer better adjustability over your standard shock with the ability to adjust both the rebound and compression, meaning that if you change your weight load or your road conditions, you can easily adjust the shock to suit.
So my plans with the remote res is actually to mount it up on the chassis here to keep it out of the way. Should be able to mount that like that. That's sick. And funnily enough, they've actually made this very easy for me, Fulcrum. I was expecting to have to make my own brackets, but it actually looks like that this, yeah, is the exact diameter necessary to actually bolt this up here. So this should be very easy to do. That's actually a very good spot for them. Extremely good. That's just with the bracket that came with it. I might just have to add a tiny little packer in here just to make sure it's fully secure, but that's pretty much the idea. And then the other one will come and mount back the other way. And then by rights, that should still be pretty, I know I have a tray here, but I should still be able to get under there to adjust it, either in through under the tray or up through the bottom. But yeah, so that should work pretty well, I think, and it'll keep it up out of the way and out of the dirt and the elements.
And with the rear shocks and springs all set in place, we can move on to the front.
That's one way. All right, so I got the front springs out, just about ready to chuck the new ones in. Before I can put the new ones in though, we've got our bump stops. Now, because of the way patrols work, you've got your bump stop inside of the spring, so this has got to go in first. And as for what I've gone with the bump stops, these are the Black Hawk bump stops from Road Safe. They're like an 80 series style bump stop, and they're meant to be like pretty compressible, and they'll stop you from bottoming out your shocks when you start to go into bigger lifts and longer shocks. So we'll whack these in, they look pretty sturdy. Another thing to note too with these, if you need to, you can sort of, I've seen people modify these and cut them to length. Like if, you know, the factory ones are pretty short, but if you want a long one and you need to trim it a bit, that is possible. I'm gonna leave them full length for now. So yeah, pretty easy to chuck in, let's do it.
To match the rear, we had the 3-inch springs from Fulcrum going in the front as well.
All right, so again, to match the rear and as part of the kit, remote res for the front as well. So, these look pretty sick. Let me pull one out for you and show you. So, you'll notice straight away with these ones, the reservoir isn't fixed to the side of the shock body. And now that's because it's designed in the front of a patrol to actually mount on top of the shock tower. So it comes with brackets to suit. So these essentially bolt down to, there's 2 bolts on top of the coil hat, and then also includes some clamps just to fix the shock to the plate. And then bolt the shock in, pretty easy and should fit up awesome. All right, so we've got the front shocks and spring all secured in, and they look really good in there. They, yeah, it looks unreal. Like, it makes it look real sort of flashy under there, but so it looks awesome. But so we've still got to put in the sway bars and bump stops, and then once we've done that, we can throw on the brand new wheels and tires, which I can't wait for you guys to see, because yeah, it's something that's going to be really cool. So let's keep doing it and we'll get onto that. All right, so the things we've got going in for the rear, same treatment as the front. These are the 80 series style bump stops, they're the Black Hawk ones. They also come with, because they're different style bump stop, obviously the standard, they come with like an adapter bracket. So bump stop bolts to that, this bolts to the chassis, and obviously because I've got the coil tail brace in there as well, that's obviously got the holes already there so that you can still fit bump stops on it, obviously. So they've thought about that. Then we'll make sure that we're not bottoming out our shocks.
I also got a brand new windscreen and seal put in the front, as well as a new rear windscreen seal, just to make sure that the whole cab stays waterproof.
All right, so I've also chucked on some new rubber flares to cover the wheels. Now they sit a bit wider with the GU diffs. Obviously, you didn't want them kicking up mud everywhere, so you got to cover them properly. So I got some, you know, just rubber flare edging from Roadrunner Off-Road. Pretty basic stuff. You just get a length of it and cut it to length. And it's also got the insert for a bit of wire so that over time this doesn't start, you know, going wavy. So I put them on, they work very good and line up nicely on the wheels. Also too, as I mentioned before, new windscreen in, and so to match the new windscreen, because I wanted to put some, well, you know, treat it nice, I got some new wiper blades. These are from Wiper Tech, and yeah, I just was sick of streaks and, you know, off-road stuff with mud and that. So I figured get some good blades to suit the nice new windscreen. So these should go on a treat and should be good when it comes to getting mud and dirty stuff all over the windscreen. Let's see. Damn. First windscreen clean it's had in like a year.
I can then install the sway bars into the Patrol. Now these are the sway bars that came with the GU diffs that I bought, but I'm also putting them in with some new extended sway bar links from Fulcrum. Now you'll notice that I didn't cut down the extended sway bar links yet, just because the Patrol isn't sitting at its final ride height. So once I know where the Patrol is going to finally sit, then I can come back and adjust the sway bar links.
All right, so we're just about to take our new wheels down to Treadworks to get them fitted up to the new tyres. Nathan's gonna sort that out for us because we are flat out at the moment, as you can probably tell. So I just thought I'd quickly give you a sneak peek of the wheels before we send them down there and before they're on the tyres. So obviously, being such a big build, and I know a few of you have mentioned it, you've been fingers crossed that I'm gonna put some nice wheels on, and so I've listened and I've thought, stuff it, I'm not just gonna put Steelies on it, I'm gonna put something cool on. So yeah, anyway, let's show you what I got. Now, keep in mind as well, let's just talk about it as we go through the rim. So these are the All Terrain Industries hybrid beadlock wheel. Now, a few basic things, 17-inch wheel by 8.5-inch wheel, so a little bit bigger and wider than my old 16-inch rims, but that is for purpose because we are going a bigger tyre now. I'll give you a hint, we are going 35s because 35s are gonna be sick. So yeah, now you might have heard there in the name, hybrid wheel. Now, these wheels are quite unique and they're actually similar to some other wheels that are on the market as well. These have the ability to be run as either a beadlock wheel or just an air seated wheel. So it makes them pretty special because obviously, you know, different applications, some people want beadlocks, some people don't need that beadlock ability. And so you can pretty much pick and choose, you know, you buy one wheel and you have the option to switch them out as you please. So that was something that to me sounded really cool. Now you're probably wondering, now Liam, are you gonna air seat it or are you gonna beadlock it? And well, I'll show you this. And so most of you probably know what this is. This is a beadlock ring, clamps to the face of the wheel like so, and clamps the bead in the tyre. So, and then, yeah, that pretty much means that you can go very low pressures without the tyre coming off. Obviously, there's a bit of a process to installing them. I've never fitted any of these up before. And so that's why we're leaving it to Nathan to do it all properly. Now, one of the big factors that sold me on these wheels was actually the price. Now, a lot of you will know that have looked into buying wheels before. Alloy wheels, particularly beadlocks, are not cheap. There are a few mobs out there. Some of you might have heard of like the Yi Lee beadlocks, which is, you know, exclusively sort of sold on Facebook Marketplace. They are quite a cheap beadlock wheel. And I've heard great things about them too, but you know, since their popularity's increased, they're actually not as cheap as they once were. And then you also have your more well-known brands like say your Dirty Lights or your KMCs, which come in at a much higher premium as well. And these guys sit right in the middle. And I think honestly, for the quality of the rim, like I've seen some KMCs in person and some high quality rims, and I actually saw these in person on another fella's car before I bought them, and I thought, gee, they look, you know, it's funny, the first time I saw these rims, I said, oh, have you got KMCs on there? And he goes, no, these are ATIs. And these are like, you know, considerably cheaper than KMCs, and I think they look bloody just about as good. So it was really a no-brainer, and so, you know, I'm just so keen to try them out. They look awesome. I can't see any reason why they wouldn't be well built, and yeah, I reckon they're gonna look the part and they'll be super strong and good for application too. So yeah, let's take them down to Nathan and get them fitted up to our new tyres.
I'm sure you all know by now that Nathan at Treadworks is our go-to guy for anything wheel and tyre related, and he thought I'd done a great job at picking out some wheels for the patrol that not only looked good, but were also well built.
They do it like that, yes.
Is that good?
That is good.
So we left the wheels with Nathan to be fitted up to our brand new tyres.
We're not nice, balance nice. Look at that. They look bloody sick.
That's a pretty sexy wheel.
Yeah, they look good. They look real good.
All right, so we've just come down to pick up the tyres from Treadworks, and as you can see, they're looking pretty chunky. And so I've actually gotten myself a set of Yokohama G003 MTs in 35-inch. I sort of just figured, you know, for the build stuff, we've got to go big, better do it properly. And these things look bloody awesome. But there is a reason for getting the G003s, and it was actually based a lot on Nathan's recommendation. So Nathan, what are a couple little things about this tyre particularly, like what it's good for and why someone would pick this tyre?
I mean, look, from what you were saying, what you're looking for in a tyre, they are quite an aggressive mud terrain tyre at the more aggressive end. So pretty good at cleaning themselves, wet clay, like that hard pack clay stuff that's hard to clean out of the lugs, they eject really well. Japanese quality built stuff, all the Geolander stuff's made in their Japanese plant, so it's all really good stuff. And good value for money. So at least at Treadworks anyway. So we're, Yokohama sort of come to the party and we become a dealer in the last year for them as well as the Maxxis stuff still. But yeah, they're willing to wheel and deal, and yeah, so we get some good prices on them and pass it on to the customers, and yeah, so it's just a good all-round package.
There you go. So, you know, I've heard it here first from Nathan, but I'm so keen to test these things out. So we'll be, no doubt chucking them on the patrol as soon as I can, and then we'll be getting them off road and getting them dirty. So thanks again to Nathan for sorting them out for us in such a short time frame. We're still flat out working on the car, getting it ready for Sydney. But yeah, we've got them now and we're so close, almost there. So let's keep going on with the build. Yeah, I can't wait to see what it looks like. It's gonna look so good. Oh, they look so chunky. Crazy what difference a set of tyres can make to a car. Why doesn't that fit? Why does that not fit? Can you give me your tape measure? Give me that tape measure. Oh, no. This should be 139.7 or centre PCD, 6x139. That should fit. Yeah, on patrol. It should be 6x139.7. Because that back bit, that's the right diameter at the back, but it doesn't fit. See how this bit's narrower? All right, so as you saw there, unfortunately the wheels do not fit. Now, I have 100% seen people use these wheels on a Patrol GU GQ with manual locking hubs, and so it's actually a case of I've got the wrong rim, but not because I ordered the wrong rim. Essentially, we've been sent the wrong rim, or this has been, there's something in, you know, is incorrect. Essentially what we're working with, Patrols require 110.5mm bore to fit the hub assembly, and as you can see here, about 10mm is been, you know, actually bored out to that. So this outer larger diameter on the back here is that 110, but that inner section there hasn't been bored out. So I need 110mm the whole way through so that I can fit the hub assembly and then seat it on the hub face. But mine's only got this very slight lip. So it essentially means as soon as the freewheeling hub tries to come in, it doesn't fit. So yeah, that's pretty much the long or the short of it. Yeah, so it means we're gonna have to bead lock all of these tyres just after we had them fitted up. So pull them all off, get some new wheels, hopefully we can get ATIs again, the correct ones, in time. Because obviously we know we're working on a pretty tight schedule, but hope we can get them in time. And yeah, if not, we'll have to source some other 7-inch rims just as placeholders, because I do want to have these tyres on when the build gets on the road. So yeah, that's it. That's building cars. So work with what we've got. We've got plenty of other stuff to do anyway, so we won't worry about this. We'll just keep getting along and hopefully we can sort out the wheel issue, and yeah, we'll get there.